I'm headed out for a hike today and the weather is pretty chilly. It's in the low 20s, and it made me think that I ought to post a video about some of the things that I do for cold weather. Most of them are covered a million times on all other channels on YouTube, so I'm sure most of them you've heard before. And I will put additional ones in the comments if they come up to me during my hike today. But the one that really came first to mind was I'm a hammocker, and so when it's below freezing, I noticed that I could no longer undo my knot, especially if it was any kind of precipitation, rain, snow, that kind of thing. So I purchased some little, I think they're hookworms or something from Dutchware, and so therefore I don't have to tie knots, and that's really helpful in the cold weather. The other thing that has happened to me a couple of times is I'll forget to untie my shoes at night. And so the shoelaces being wet will freeze, and then I have a hard time untying my shoes. In fact, when I was in Pennsylvania on the AT a couple of years ago, we had a major storm. It was rain and sleet and snow, and then back to rain and then more snow, about 4.5 inches overnight. And I got to the point where I couldn't untie my shoes, finally did, but I couldn't tie them because my hands were so cold. And so that's another tip. I try never to let myself get too cold. Specifically, if I keep my core warm, then my extremities stay warm. I've heard that it's important to start your hike cold and add layers if you need, but I run cold. And so I know that is the intention behind that, is so that you don't sweat and therefore make your clothes wet and then freeze. But for me, I just run cold. And so it's easier for me to start out warm, take off layers, and just be mindful that I don't work up a sweat. Other things that I've heard and tried, like a Nalgene bottle with boiled water in at camp at night in the footbox of my quilt. That didn't really work for me. I found that by 2 o'clock in the morning, the water was cold and I would have needed to reboil. So I don't do that. I do find that if there's too much space in my foot box, that my feet get cold. So I often shove all my clothes down at the bottom of my foot box just to put a little more stuff in that area. Of course, any kind of movement that you can do, jumping jacks, burpees, I don't know, just to get your body, the blood pumping, can keep you warm right before you jump into your sleeping bag or tent or whatever at night. Additionally, eating. These are the ones that I've heard everywhere, right? Eating before bed, or even if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're freezing, just grab something high fat is helpful. Trying to think if there's anything else, but nothing is coming to me right now. So if I do, I'll put them in the comments. Stay warm. Shout out to the commenter that mentioned that the trick to the Z-Pack, is it Z-Pack? Possum gloves, is to wash them. So mine were really long, and I thought I might actually have to sew them, but someone posted to just wash them, and it worked beautifully. They fit great. I'm so excited. And I also wanted to mention a couple of cold weather water tricks, and one is just a warning: don't let your filter freeze. It will ruin the fibers and won't filter. So either wear it in your puffy, definitely take it in with you at night. And second one, so water bottles, they'll freeze, and the end is narrow, and then you can't drink any of your water, even if it's not frozen in the bottle. So the tip is to put them upside down, and then that way the stuff that freezes is at the bottom of the bottle, so that when you drink, your water is not frozen. So only one other water tip trick is that you want to sleep with your water at night. I'm a hammocker, and that's really hard to do. And so I've tried a couple of ways of hanging my water in my hammock. Some of them work, some of them don't. And I was told once that the real trick is to go get your water in the morning. And although that solves all the problems, the water freezing in the bottles and in your reservoir type things overnight, it's probably one of the hardest for me because I just don't like getting out of my hammock when it's super cold and it's in the morning. I like to have everything with me so that I can, start a cup of coffee and not have to worry about go filtering water. But it is a solution. One other cold weather tip that came to me while I was hiking is a very common one, and that is that if you have to go to the bathroom, if you have to pee at night in your tent, it's best to get up and go do that. The theory behind that is that your body tries to warm up the liquid, and it expends energy doing so, and it'll cool you down. But actually, recently I heard that that's not true, and so the vote is out. I don't know whether it works or not, but I can say that on my trips, if I have to go, I get up and go, and at least I'm able to sleep better regardless of if I'm warmer. So if you know the answer to that or have the science, definitely comment below. I'd be interested.